So, you ever notice how sometimes one conversation, one guy, can just flip the whole narrative on its head? Like you think you know how the world works, right? You've been told this story your whole life. You grow up, you hear about religion, history, culture, and then someone like Dr. J. Smith walks in and just drops a bomb in the middle of it all. Not in a rude way, not like he's trying to offend anyone, but in that calm, almost surgical way where every sentence just cuts through the comfort zone of what people think they know. Zaza, man, you can feel the air shift when he speaks. It's not just about Islam or any specific religion. It's about how much we've just accepted narratives without ever questioning where they came from. The guy's not saying, believe me. He's saying, check the sources, go look for yourself. That's powerful. Because in this age where everyone's either offended or defensive, here's someone saying, what if what we've been told isn't the whole picture? It's wild, dude. You can see believers get rattled, like, this hits deep, it challenges identity. But then skeptics, too, they're not off the hook. They start realizing, wait, maybe we've been lazy with our assumptions. Because that's the thing. Both sides can get comfortable. Believers get too sure of what they've inherited, and skeptics get too sure of their disbelief. So when J. Smith says something that punches both sides right in their certainty, people freak out. It's like shaking the snow globe of human belief. Suddenly, everyone's looking at the pieces floating around, realizing, damn, maybe I didn't really know what I thought I knew.
So you know what's crazy, man?
It's not even about who's right or wrong. It's about the courage to even ask the question. Most people don't get how rare that is anymore. Like, you bring up religion, especially Islam, and the whole room just tightens up. You can talk about aliens, psychedelics, government conspiracies. People will laugh, debate, go wild. But mention religion, and suddenly everyone's walking on eggshells. That's the power of belief. It's not just faith, it's identity, it's culture, it's who your parents were, who your grandparents prayed to. And here comes this dude, Dr. J. Smith, just sitting there calmly saying, what if we've misunderstood some of it? Yeah, and he doesn't say it like an internet troll, you know. He's not trying to mock people. He's like a historian with a scalpel, not a hammer. He brings out these old texts, these documents, and you can almost feel the tension when he starts connecting dots. Because it's not emotional, it's academic. That's what makes it so unsettling. He's not yelling, he's just showing. And that's when you realize truth doesn't always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes it walks in wearing the face of evidence, and that's scarier than any argument. Tejo, you watch the clips of his talks and you see reactions. Some people furious, others stunned, others just silent. And that silence, man, that's where the real thinking happens. That's where the mind starts going, wait, what if he's right? What if this story I've always known isn't the full story? And even if he's wrong, the fact that you're asking that question is the beginning of awakening. That's what freaks people out. It's not his claim, it's the realization that we've never really examined the things we defend the most. Tada, what blows my mind is how uncomfortable truth-seeking has become, man. Like, think about it. In the old days, philosophers, scientists, theologians, they were supposed to argue. That was the point. That's how ideas evolved. But now, you question something sacred, and suddenly you're labeled disrespectful or hateful. It's nuts. We live in a world that claims to be all about free thought, yet we punish the exact people who dare to think differently. And that's where this guy, Dr. J. Smith, throws a wrench in the system. He's standing there saying, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I'm just presenting what the records show. But people can't handle that because we've built emotional walls around our beliefs. Ta-da. It's like we've forgotten how to sit in discomfort. Everyone wants to be validated. No one wants to be challenged. And here's this dude calmly flipping through ancient sources saying, hey, maybe the origins of this aren't what we were told. And that's when the tension kicks in. Because if he's right, even a little, that means people have to start asking hard questions about everything they've built their worldview on. And that's terrifying. But you know what? That's also where the magic happens. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from being rattled, from feeling your mental foundation shake and still having the courage to say, okay, let's see where this goes. That's what makes it powerful. It's not about agreeing with him. It's about having the guts to listen. Because when you listen, you realize how fragile certainty can be. And once that cracks, man, the whole idea of truth starts to feel bigger, deeper, and way more real than anything you were told to believe. It's wild how fast people react when something threatens their belief system. You see it every time someone like Dr. J. Smith speaks. The instant backlash, the outrage, the headlines. People don't even process what he's saying. They just react, and that's the thing. When your identity is tied to belief, questioning it feels like an attack on your existence. That's why these conversations blow up. It's not just intellectual, it's emotional, it's tribal. Humans have always been like that. We protect what makes us feel safe, even if that thing isn't necessarily true. But what if that safety is just an illusion? What if the stories we grew up with, the things we never dared to touch, what if those are exactly the things holding us back from seeing the bigger picture? That's the kind of ripple effect Jay Smith sets off. He doesn't just drop information, he drops a mirror in front of society. And people hate mirrors, man. They show too much. They show the cracks. So you watch the debates and you can see people's expressions change when he starts referencing early manuscripts, timelines, historical inconsistencies, all that stuff that sounds boring until you realize what it implies. He's basically saying maybe what you think started one way actually started differently. And that's huge, because once you open that door, you can't unsee it. Whether you accept it or not, the question sticks. And I think that's what makes it so powerful. It's not about converting anyone. It's about awakening curiosity, making people realize that maybe truth isn't about defending what you believe. Maybe it's about having the guts to follow where the evidence leads, even if it takes you somewhere uncomfortable. You know what's fascinating? The way people underestimate the power of information until it hits them in the face. Like when Dr. J. Smith starts talking about how history might have been rewritten, edited, or shaped to fit certain agendas, most folks just freeze. Because, let's be honest, nobody wants to believe that something as sacred as religion could have gone through human hands, that it's not pure, untouched divine. But history, man, history is messy. Humans are messy. Power has always had its fingerprints all over truth. And when he points that out, it's not just about Islam. It's about the entire human story, how belief and control have always danced together. And people get defensive because it feels personal. Like he's attacking them when really he's just exposing how fragile our collective storytelling has been. You see it. People sitting there, faces tightening, crossing their arms. That's not logic reacting, that's ego. It's like when you tell someone their favorite childhood memory might not be exactly how they remember it. They'll fight to protect it, not because it's true, but because it's theirs. But imagine flipping that fear into curiosity. That's what separates thinkers from followers. When someone like Jay Smith throws a curveball, most duck, but the real ones lean in, they're like, okay, show me. Let's see what you've got. That's the energy we need, not to mock faith, not to destroy tradition, but to refine it. Because if what you believe is true, it should stand against questions. And if it can't, maybe it's time to dig deeper. That's where things get real. That's where religion stops being a label and becomes a journey again, not about defending God, but about discovering Him through truth, even when truth shakes the ground beneath your feet. So it's funny, man, because every time someone like Dr. J. Smith says something that disrupts the mainstream, the internet just explodes. Clips start circulating, 10 seconds here, a quote there, and people start losing their minds without even watching the full context. That's the modern world for you, outrage first, understanding later. We've built this culture that thrives on emotional reactions but hates slow thinking. And that's dangerous, especially when we're dealing with something as layered and ancient as faith. Because here's the thing. When you strip away the emotion, when you actually listen to what the guy's saying, it's not some wild conspiracy. It's research. It's evidence. It's the kind of stuff universities should be diving into. But the second it touches religion, it becomes radioactive. No one wants to be labeled anti-anything. It's like people forgot that questioning is how we grow. Asking why isn't blasphemy, it's evolution. And what really hits me is how divided the reaction gets. On one side, you have people who suddenly feel seen. They've had doubts, questions, things that never sat right, and now they're hearing someone finally articulate it. On the other, you've got the defenders, the ones who think protecting faith means silencing inquiry. But The truth is both sides need each other. The skeptic needs the believer's passion, and the believer needs the skeptic's questions. That's balance. Ta-da. So when Jay Smith throws out a bold claim about Islam, he's not trying to break it. He's testing it. And any truth worth believing should survive that test. That's the difference between blind faith and conscious belief. One hides from questions, the other welcomes them, knowing that real conviction comes from surviving the fire, not avoiding it. You ever notice how truth, when it finally starts coming out, doesn't shout? It whispers. It creeps in quietly, like water through cracks. That's exactly what happens after Dr. Jay Smith drops one of his claims. It doesn't just vanish after the headlines fade. It lingers. It sits in people's minds, festering, growing, making them rethink everything. And that's the crazy part. It's not even the claim itself that changes people. It's the doubt it plants. Doubt is powerful, man. It's uncomfortable, but it's the beginning of every great discovery. And here's the kicker. Both believers and skeptics are forced to deal with that same discomfort. Believers have to ask, what if my understanding of faith isn't complete? And skeptics have to ask, what if I've been dismissing something deeper without really studying it? That's the beautiful chaos of truth. It doesn't take sides. It just sits there, demanding honesty from everyone who encounters it. Ta-da, when he speaks, you can tell he's not just trying to win arguments. He's trying to wake people up. He's like, stop sleepwalking through belief. Stop repeating what you've been told. Go read, go check, go verify. And that right there, that's the mindset that threatens systems built on blind obedience. Because the moment people start thinking critically about what they're taught, control loses its grip. You start realizing how much of history, religion, and even culture has been about who gets to tell the story and for how long. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. That's why these discussions matter. They're not attacks, they're awakenings. Because when truth becomes a threat, that's usually the first sign that it's hitting a nerve worth exploring.